Thank you, Presiding Officer. Today's budget was a chance for the SNP to set a new direction on tax and spending, an opportunity for John Swinney to undo some of the damage he has done to Scotland over the last 17 years. But this budget is just more of the same. Inputs, not outputs, half-hearted attempts to fix the problems that they themselves have created. The era of high tax, free spending is far from over, and once again, people in Scotland will pay more and get less. Thanks to the SNP, workers and businesses.
Let us hear Mr. Hoy.
Workers and business will pay more in tax, only for that money to be wasted by SNP ministers who let public services decline. And what a boast it was today, a new policy, a boast to say 12 months wait for an inpatient or outpatient appointment in our NHS. That is a scandal, and John Swinney's fingerprints are all over it. Deputy Presiding Officer, the SNP's economic mismanagement has held Scotland back. And isn't it the reality that the only real growth that we are seeing in the economy is the size of the SNP government and the scale of the black hole that is the heart of their finances? And the reality is that we are paying a heavy price for years of SNP waste on ferries, on gender reforms, failed independence bids and a national care service that has already cost the nation £30 million. The benefits bill, rising by a further £800 million, is out of control because the government can't get people back into work. NHS waiting lists are so long that sick people are staying sick. Now, the budget confirms that the SNP has wrecked public services. John Swinney is out of ideas and his government is running out of time. The NHS is on its knees and needs urgent reform. Now, we welcome today's budget increase for healthcare, but our NHS needs more than money. It needs leadership and a serious plan from this government. And now we've set out proposals to reduce bureaucracy so that more can be invested into accelerating treatment at the front line. So ask Shona Robison this: will the SNP make these necessary changes, or is their only solution more money, which hasn't reduced waiting lists one bit to date? And wasn't the Auditor-General of Scotland right when he said this government has no vision for the NHS? A government which now has record levels of revenue and record levels of tax receipts, but no vision for Scotland, no vision for our NHS, no vision for economic growth. In fact, a £33 million cut to the enterprise budget today. Now, after years of failing to hand over rates relief to Scotland's struggling businesses, I'm pleased that the SNP, in part, has met our demand for rates relief for hospitality. But why so long? How many pubs and restaurants have gone to the wall in the interim? And why has retail been left out of this announcement today? Today, also, hard-pressed householders will face more pain in the form of council tax rises as the government sweeps away the council tax cap in order to make up for the SNP's decade and more of underfunding Scotland's councils. Presiding Officer, income taxes are still the highest in the UK. So why hasn't the government listened to those who warn that Scotland's high tax regime and high tax rates are hitting growth? Why didn't the government, rather than just tinkering with thresholds, take up the option of reversing its damaging tax increases? And why didn't the Minister come to this chamber and admit what everyone else in Scotland can see, that the SNP's experiment of hitting Scotland with higher taxes has monumentally failed?
Cabinet Secretary.
So let me welcome, the welcome for the record investment in the NHS. And of course it is not just about the investment, but where that money is then spent. And as I said in my statement, reform, efficiency and productivity are at the heart of that investment. And the Minister for Public Finance, I can assure you, is driving that across this government. But let me correct Craig Hoy on a number of points. More than half of Scottish taxpayers will pay less under the proposals from this government. And of course, Craig Hoy talked about sustainability and the benefits bill out of control. I think what's out of control is his leader's letter calling for £1 billion of tax cuts. Imagine the impact of that on fiscal sustainability. Less money for our investment in our public services, less money for the NHS, less money for local government, less money for other services as well. And when it comes to retail premises, I have set out an affordable proposition for hospitality businesses, which will mean about 11,000 hospitality businesses benefiting from that. What I would say to Craig Hoy is to have gone further, first of all, would not be sustainable. His proposition, I think, was going to cost over £350 million. That's money that we will not get from the UK Government. We only got £145 million this year in consequentials. There will be no consequentials next year because the UK Government is moving to a different business tax rate system that cannot be replicated here. So this Government is taking the sensible, sustainable decisions, whether it's on business rates or whether it's on taxation or whether it's on the investment in public services. And as for council tax rises, this is a record level of investment for